Shereen Mostafa, welcome to the Rice Pudding Project.
Thank you.
I know you very well, but for the viewers at home, please tell them who you are and what it is you do.
I'm Shereen Mostafa, head of production Publicis Groupe. I've been there for some time. I'm not going to say how long. All right.
Couple of years.
20 years. So it's
20 years.
It's a lifetime.
So from high school you went there.
From high school I went there. No.
Wow, 20 years. That's amazing.
20 years. Yeah.
Okay,
2 decades. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Impressive.
I like to call myself a producer because this is what I love and what I do. Creative production. And I think the more you evolve, you just look at it as you're still a producer. This is what really matters and what makes you really keep the ambition that keeps us going.
I have this weird bit because I was a producer and I didn't like the word producer a lot of the times. And I like the word creative producer. And I think especially in your case, you're more of a creative producer, in my humble opinion, because you're not just like, here's the brief, let's go. You're more involved in helping with the creative process, helping choose the right directors, right the things. I think you're more involved in that, wouldn't you say? Or
I think I give it all to Leo Burnett. Leo Burnett is a school that teaches you that no one who works in the agency is labeled to a certain department. So production has always been hand to hand with the creative, with the strategy, with the communication people. And I owe it to all the people that I've met, and I was lucky enough and fortunate to meet. Because today I can get a new brief and my solution or take on the brief, I take it back to 20 years ago. Someone had told me this thing at the start. So I think it's how you do it. I've been always invited in rooms where we're brainstorming, thinking, is this a good idea or a bad idea? We've always had a very strict system of evaluating our own work every quarter, where people like just sit in a room and stab the work just to try and see what went right and what went wrong.
Yeah.
And I think this makes it a creative producer, because if you just want a messenger, then it's definitely not a producer.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It's how you take it. Honestly, you can take a banking job and make it just a job, getting the things done, and you can be really creative about what you do.
Yeah, and that's how you bring value to the projects.
100%.
How did you become a producer, first of all, actually?
I love this question because when I first graduated, I had absolute no idea what should I do.
What did you study?
I studied broadcasting.
Okay.
And I studied literally everything.
Okay.
From script writing to directing to filming, everything.
Okay.
And I loved everything, editing, everything about it. But then
I hate editing.
no, I love editing.
Oh, really?
I love editing. I still give feedback.
Giving feedback, but doing the editing myself, I can't.
I love it. I used to lock the room at the university because, we had a booking list, and you had to put the number of hours you want, and I always wanted to spend the whole time there.
Oh, man.
But then also I was also fortunate that we were the broadcasting team back then.
Yeah.
But our doctors used to give us the chance to produce the work for our advertising colleagues for their graduation project.
Okay.
So I was actually producing when I was in university, but when I finished everything, I realized that I know everything, but I don't know everything about one thing. And that was the ultimate answer: become a producer. Because I need to know everything, but I don't need to do things myself unless I want to do something myself.
Find people.
Which was, I didn't know. No one taught me during that time that a producer does this and that. Okay. It wasn't even taught to us as part of the dynamic and what's happening. And I realized, because I love everything about production and the creative involvement, from the ideation to the planning, which the closest part to my heart, because if you plan well, everything goes well.
Yeah.
If you give the brief to the right person, everything goes well. And the shoot is the most relaxed time. I go and chill and ask for coffee and do stuff.
The hard work's done.
Exactly. So I think it was the ultimate answer of who I am today.
Okay. Did you have like a family or friends that were in production that inspired you or motivated you to go into broadcast?
No, not at all. I had an uncle who had passed away a few years back. He was a quite senior person in the radio and television of the national radio and television in Egypt. He's quite famous. He used to present very big programs and stuff, but I was never connected. But I always loved art and music and film, but I didn't really. No one held my hand and told me, this is what you like. But I recall my dad back then because I was an A student, and I always loved to be the A student who's quite fun and chilled.
Yeah.
So I didn't lock myself in our house, not going to parties or birthdays or outings. No, I used to be out and about, yet I like to be done with all my homework. If I study something, I really nail it down.
Okay.
So I was like a 96% student, not a 99.9.
Still an
But then
A-star
back
student.
then, all the parents would love their children to graduate and become doctors and engineers.
Yeah.
And I was actually studying math, physics, biology, and everything. So I could have become an engineer. And the only person who told me, do what you love, is my dad. Everyone around me, friends, family and stuff, you have 96%, you can be an engineer, you can do great things and stuff. My dad loved that I would become a doctor and give me the best clinic. And he always said that, like, I will get you the best clinic in Egypt.
Yeah.
But then he didn't put what he thinks about me in front of him. When he told me his opinion, he told me, study what you really love. So when I chose broadcasting and mass communication and all these matters, he told me, if you love something, you really excel in it. And I give it back to him, honestly.
Okay. What did he study? Or what was his career?
He was a former colonel, and then post-Sadat era, they traveled to the UK, studied there, and then started all the business, oil and purification. And he always finds something to do.
Okay, cool. But he was supportive because, yeah, like a lot of family, like you said, a lot of family members are like, no, you need to do this. And then they don't support you, especially being creative, art. Like in our region, how are you going to make the common thing is how are you going to make money from art?
100%.
Sure.
I think the last time my dad taught me how to study, I was in primary 2. He had me, and I recall that I was sitting on the dining table at our living room, and I had a math question that I couldn't answer.
Yeah.
And he sat down and left me for 2 hours, unable to answer the question.
Okay.
And he's not telling me what to do.
Okay.
But then after the 2 hours, he told me, you need to understand the question to be able to solve it. And he taught me how to study.
Okay.
Back then, and after that point, never ever did he know what did I choose, what are the subjects I'm enrolling myself in. He just got the news of, I passed this year, I got great grades, bravo, that's it. And I think that's part of the independence I was brought up to. My mom passed away, I was 11.
11?
So 11, yes. Wow. And I had 2 sisters, 9 and 2. So,
they're your younger sisters.
Yes. So actually, at that age, it's very difficult to be asked as a child not to be a child anymore.
Yeah, you became a grown-up quickly.
100%.
How did she pass away?
It was a sudden. I think they had an accident, and 2-3 months before, and I think there was a clot, and no one took it. She was 36.
36.
My dad was 40. He was left with 3 kids. Have no idea what to do. And the one piece of advice he gave me, because throughout the year you would face some challenges, personal or professional, and he always gave me this advice that I never forgot. He told me, when your mom passed away, I was 40 and I had 3 daughters. I have no idea how to raise them. One thing he told me, I thought about today, what will I feed you today, and what will we do tomorrow, and the beautiful memories we had in the past. If you look too much to the future, you don't live the present. And if you get really, really hooked on the past, you don't live your future. And ever since, I always remember and recall what he told me back then.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Man, 3 kids by himself.
100%. And back then, 40 years, my dad seems to be old back then. He looked young, but I mean, 40, or my mom was 36, that is quite young, but we've always seen our parents as old people.
Yeah.
Today, when you are at nearly that age, you would say, oh my God, they were very young.
Yeah. I'm 45, and my son is going to turn 6. And if I'm, I can take care of my son for like 3-4 hours, and then it's like, call the wife for help, and and it's different now. Like there's so many different things you can do. You can take them to places, back then.
It's very difficult, but I think you try your best to raise them well. And I think you need a lot of good luck and God's protection. because no matter, I had all the independence I had my car. I had the car when I was 11. I could have taken the key and went out. I don't go out if my dad didn't allow me to go out. You need to raise kids who are able to take good decisions, and when they do mistakes, they don't fear to come and tell you these mistakes. And this is how I raise my son. I have a 17-year-old son. Oh. This doesn't mean that I'm too old. I just got married too early, and I'm always surprised of him acquiring things that I didn't teach him.
How do you stop that though? Because I'm scared of that now with my son, and my wife and I we're worried about our son being on iPad and exposure to these online.
But I think
things.
Leading by example is the one thing. You just try your best. I didn't teach him to be a person who loves helping people. But if he sees his mom helping people, he would grow up to be that kind of person.
True.
You don't ask him not to lie if you lie. And so I think this is where it lasts. So leading by example is the one thing. I cannot ask him to do something that I do constantly in front of him.
Yeah, see, I swear a lot. It slips out sometimes with my son, and he catches me, he tells me off. Because we have a rule, if you swear, no sweets, that day. So.
And I think the one thing, my dad also, I always talk about my dad because I love him. I call myself Shereen Mostafa, not with my family name, since we don't have a brother. So I believe that we're holding his name. He told me when my son was 2 years old, stop treating him as a kid. He was 2 years. And he treat him as a person who understands what you say. You don't put him in front of you. No, it doesn't work this way. So I've always honored our relationship. So we grew up friends, and he's a backbone. He's not my son. So you don't feel that having a son is a burden on you. It's not a duty. Yeah. It's something that you are fortunate to have.
Yeah, see, it's a blessing definitely to have a child. It definitely is a blessing. It's hard and it tests you.
100%. I was 23.
You were 23?
I was 23, and I had no idea, and I didn't have a mom at home as well. So I had an early birth for him, and we stayed 10 days at hospital because they told me he's gonna be in the incubator. I told them I'm not leaving the hospital. I stayed for 10 days. Everyone makes fun of me. I told them I'm not leaving the hospital. But when I got out of hospital, he was, I think, 1 kilo 200 grams. He was like tiny, and I had no idea. The beginning of the 8th month.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a difficult one. And the only thing I prayed to God back then, I said, please, I don't want to get out of this hospital without my son. And that's the instinct of you being motherhood. It's not something that you choose. Definitely you can really take care of, grow, but it's your instinct. And then suddenly I'm left in a room. Of course, I have a support system. I have my aunts. I have everyone around me. I have my cousin who really took care of us, as well as a fourth sister since my mom passed away. I remember she left her house and she spent 5 days of the week with us. She used to study to us. She used to fail at her university just to take care of us. And that's the loving family we grew to. And that's the loving family I'm always keen to keep around me, be it direct family or family that you choose. But then I had no idea what to do with this thing.
Yeah, no, there's no book.
I want to sleep.
Yeah.
I want to sleep. I can't sleep.
You learn by doing. Yeah, you can't. You don't want to sleep.
And then I love. There's a saying. It's an Arabic saying that says "فقد الشيء لا يعطي," meaning if you didn't have something, you're unable to give it to the others. And I say people just translate or literally translate that saying. فقد الشيء means that you don't know it. It's not that because I don't have my mom, I'm unable to be a mom. I long for having my mom, but then you give that. But if you don't understand integrity, if you don't understand truth, if you don't understand God, then you cannot give it to others or teach it to others. And I love this as well because I think everything that I've missed, not having my mom and everything else, and Dad did his best and everything to give it back to us. I see it in my everyday at work. My team is my family. Everyone I know or meet is a family. The team or the crew that you have on a certain shoot, you become a family for that time. So I think I always value family, and I really know that our strength comes from the people we know. Today, me and you, we sit on a chair with a certain authority, and I always tell people around me this. Today, you have all the authority with the place you work for, the chair you're sitting on, the power that you have. But then tomorrow, when you don't have this, the only wealth you have is the people.
I can relate to that, especially because I've been in that situation a few times. And when you are in a position of authority, heads of departments, heads of production, things like that, people are very, very nice, and everyone loves you, and everyone is helpful to you. And there's always, your phone doesn't stop ringing, WhatsApp calls, coffees, invitations, things like that. The moment that you leave is a very humbling moment, because you realize a few things: who your real friends are, who was just being friends just to be nice, and then you start to realize your own worth, and then you think, am I important as I thought I was because I was the head of this, or am I just Amin Soltani and I'm happy the way it is, and I'm happy that 5-6 people call me, and not like before, because before it was non-stop. Because when you're in that position, the phone rings non-stop, and and you go places, hey, how are you? And that's wonderful, and it's great for your ego, but there's a balance that you need as well in life. And like I said, when you leave, when you step outside, it's very humbling. And how you control and how in that position affects how people are going to treat you later on afterwards. I mean, there was a situation that we didn't know each other at all. I think we met at the dinner that one time. We met there, and and technically I want to say enemies, but we're competitors, right? You are head of your agency, your group. I'm head of my group, so we shouldn't be really, it should be like, But the way you were, it was you can't see my hands now because it's I'm got goosebumps underneath my sleeve. But I was amazed. I was very impressed by how you treated me. I was like, oh, okay, wow, and you're very nice, and we should catch up for coffee. And I'm like, that had not happened. I think, it hadn't happened before with other heads. And then we spoke, and everything was, of course, we're in a crazy world where, you have like productions going on crazy all the time, and so we don't get the chance to meet. But we did run into each other at the place. At another location, there was another drinks. And I remember one of the gentlemen was like, oh, we are the family, we don't mess with us, and blah, blah, blah. And he was a big, intimidating guy, and I'm not small. And he was taller than me. And you're like, no, we like him. We're friends. We don't have that kind of thing just because he's from, and you told him, like, just because we're friends, we can still be friends. Oh, okay, cool. And then everyone, like, it was like the lioness said he's okay. So everyone was like, hey, how are you? And then it would just started to be friendly and talk about it. So,
but you don't know the other side of the story, because the one part of the story that you don't know is how I heard about you.
Okay.
Because that we had a common friend of ours, I really can't recall who he was, and he came to me and told me, the only other person that I know is as clean as you is Amin Soltani. And I knew nothing about you back then. And it just, I never forgot that phrase. And I don't believe that things happen by coincidence, because everything happens for a reason at a certain time and age. Okay. And then later we had an event, a very busy event, and there was quite some tension between two entities. Some tension. Yeah. And I think it wasn't shaping up in a nice way. Yeah. And then when it was done, I walked closer to the place where the incident was happening, and my friend told me, don't worry, Amin took care of it. He just took everyone apart. He said, guys, we're not putting a show here. We're here to have fun, and we're here to have to compete nicely. And this is when I thought, what a good person, that it's a pity that I don't know closer. So every time we met anywhere, and every time you sent me or I sent you, or any single time you post something good or I post something on social media, whether good work or some news, I think we had this click since the start. Yeah. Because I don't think that the good friends we have are necessarily the people that you've known for years. True. I believe good souls find each other's, and I see goodness in you, and I'm always happy to even speak and have in my inner circuit people who are really genuine and nice. I recall a friend of mine, actually it's a good story, Muhammad Sabri, he used to be the MD of one of the famous
JWT.
agencies.
Yes.
And
Great
he
guy.
was like, before he moves to Dubai, and I was talking to him, Ali, I envy you from your ability to keep that amount of good people around you. And I think I don't put an effort in this. I just try to be good to people.
Yeah.
I try to be genuine to people. I try to protect the people who I love, and even the people that I don't know, like how we just acted in that incident. And I think this is we are as good as our surroundings.
Exactly. It's not about holding people. It's how you act and what you attract. And yeah, I mean, I've been following, like I follow you on Instagram. I stalk your projects, and I gotta say, it's very, very annoying. I get like some of them I don't like. I'm like, oh, okay, that was a big production, and that's it. But it's not it's not the size of the productions that makes me envious. It's some of the times the people that you work with. Like when I see you put, like I'm like, she met Mohamed Salah. I'm like, seriously? Like I've been a Liverpool fan since I was 4.
List.
4 years old. I've been a Liverpool fan since then. My son talks about Mohamed Salah, and I'm like, yeah, Daddy has a friend who met him, who's worked with him. She's like, really? And he's like, yeah, she must be really cool. I'm like, hello, your dad is, no, but she worked with Mohamed Salah, Daddy. I'm like, yeah, she's cool. So like I would see those and be like very
I think
impressed.
Salah specifically for me is beyond what he did and what he's doing. I think Salah for me is hope. Spreading to people the hope that you can become whoever you want to become.
Yeah.
So for me, Salah I'm a big football fan.
I know,
and I love Liverpool, and I love the Premier League, and a big fan of Man City. And whenever they ask me, do you cheer for Liverpool? I tell them, listen, I cheer for Liverpool. I love Liverpool so much. Yeah. I love how Man City and Pep plays, because I appreciate the good play, like in advertising. I love it when other people create some great work, and I would say, oh, bravo. That's great, because I think it's about all what we do collectively. It's not about what we do. And to that point, I think as well, looking at the work and what we do and what I've personally been doing throughout the past 2 decades, I think the idea remains the king. If you have a great idea, it's a great idea. Whether you spend $10,000 on it or $1 million.
Yeah.
A bad idea is a bad idea, no matter how much you spend on it.
How much you polish it.
And I think as well, I've learned this from the post-producer of an old production house. I've always sent him briefs, small briefs, not necessarily big ones. And the way he received every brief from me taught me to be that person.
Okay.
I give it to him. I get every brief as if it's a new brief.
Okay.
Independent of its scale, the budget we have, what's the client, what's the aim, am I doing it for an award or for a client? I think if you just do good work in whatever way and form, every piece of work has a certain objective. There are a lot of I'm brought up in, I've spent 10 years of my life at Leo Burnett Cairo, where I was taught everything. I was taught that a tactical ad can make a great ad. I don't need to create films specifically done for awards or a certain smart case study put together with some numbers. Yes, that's great, and we do it, and we try to do it for real causes and for real clients, and we try to do all the time. And I love getting the appreciation and getting the recognition for that. But I think creating great work for your normal day-to-day clients is what we're there for. It's more difficult than I'm creating a song just for a song, or I'm creating a film because I believe in the script. I think this is what makes advertising very difficult. Okay. You want to please everyone, and pleasing everyone is something impossible. But the one thing I remind myself with is, if I aim to try and please everyone and make the right thing for the work and for everyone without a certain agenda, or because specifically when it comes to production, the creative has certain KPIs, the client has a certain KPI, the director has a certain KPI. I always tell my team, if we manage to get one edit that everyone loves, this is when you really succeed.
And it's very hard to do.
It's very hard.
Yeah, because that's why, I mean, I've done projects and like now I'm directing more. People ask me, how did the project go? I'm like, great, I got my shots. because unfortunately you have to be a little bit selfish now and build your thing. I've appeased the client, I've appeased the agency, but I also have my shots for my director's cut.
100%.
So you have to, it's very hard to please everyone.
I think we made it harder on ourselves. Yani, I always say that we're fortunate to be an industry that we love. You wake up in the morning, you want to create, and these are weapons. If you have the capability to change the hearts and minds of people and really affect them, whether positively or negatively, there's a responsibility on you. But I think as well, we're not saving the world.
We're not saving lives.
We need to chill. And if we don't launch on the 15th, but you launch on the 16th, no one is waiting for the campaign. I'm not saying that deadlines are not important.
The consumer doesn't know.
And we don't meet them. But I say sometimes we just make it harder on ourselves. I was raised in Cairo, where the norm is to create a great ad every 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, you create a great ad. I used to travel to London every month to Telecini back then, 2-3 campaigns at the same time. And I used to have Hamdallah back then, our ECD.
I remember him.
We've learned everything from him. He wasn't an easy person to learn from at all. But I think everything I do today, I take it back to him, of course. But he used to tell me, I'm going up. Back then we had the biggest teleco client we had in the same building. I'm going to present something. I'll come back to you, and then we kick off. He goes up. He gets the approval. He comes back. We go to the production house and we do. And the best campaign I've done is not necessarily the one that I kept bidding for it for a month. If you have a vision, it's great. And the cheapest or the best value for money quote that I got, it doesn't need a bidding for me just to tick some boxes. If you have the skills and you have the integrity and you really have the will to do what's best, I would never go to a client and sell him something that's overpriced than what he should pay. And also I will not take client's budget and spend it in a way that's, I always tell my producers, let's put the money in the right place.
True.
And depends on the formula and what you want. You just stay true to this. You don't need that very big director with a very high fee, but then maybe you need a younger director because you need more shots, because you have more passion. You need to give chances to people as well. I've always been blamed since I was young. I was like, why are you trusting these people? Who are these people? They don't have the real. I am the one who should help people build the real, not the other way around. Yeah,
that's a very common thing. Is like, we can't use this person because they've not done it but they can do other things. They can do it.
And the minute you go to that exact director for a certain reference that they have on the reel, this means you're getting him to create a worse version of what he had already created. And for me, I would rather give a new territory to someone who didn't try that, but I know he has the skills and everything. And I think this is what keeps us going. I think it's not about what I love about P&G, for instance. I love that you wouldn't get promoted unless your team becomes better than you. And in the same sense in the market, you wouldn't have fresh blood, new directors, new crew, new production houses. You need to work with everyone. When you're fair to everyone, you'll get the best out of everyone.
Because it's repetitiveness gets you lazy or complacent. So you obviously love what you do. That's your work life. What do you do? What are your hobbies that you like to do besides making films and commercials?
I love boxing.
Really?
A lot, yes.
Okay.
It's been
watching or doing? Watching or doing?
No, playing box.
Oh, okay.
And I decided to I've always loved Muhammad Ali, and I've always loved there was this famous Egyptian movie for Ahmed Zaki, Nimr al-Aswad, the Black Tiger, and I've always felt something nice about it. And then 2 years ago I decided, know what, it's never too late, I'm gonna learn boxing, and I started ever since then. I love boxing, I love music, I love writing a lot. I always write.
You write stories or poetry?
It depends. I can write a caption on a picture. I can write a note or an article. I love writing. I think if I had focused on writing a few years back, I would have made a good writer as well. Because writing for me, I write in a way that it's quite. I consider that therapy. When I have a certain feeling and I keep it to myself, I just feel very heavy. But when I put it out, and we were talking about Salah, my article about, or my note, my post about Salah wasn't about Salah as a player only. Salah as a figure of hope. Salah, the way he managed his life. It's not about being the best player. It's about how you take it seriously to be a great player. And I think if we all just do that formula in a certain manner, you can achieve whatever you want. And I recall, now we're saying it's a funny story, and Hamdallah, and he taught me everything. But I remember the very first day I got hired, I went and they were shooting, and I visited the studio. And then back then, if you know Fadi Fahim.
Yes, Lighthouse. Yeah.
And back then he was Final Cut with Amr Arafa.
Okay.
I've learned from everyone who allowed us and gave us the chance to really. I was a very young girl, and I would call Haggos and tell him, "Listen, can we do this in that way? Ali, good idea. Let's do that." But back then he was joking, and he told Fadi, Shereen, she will try to be a producer, and I loved him. Alhamdulillah has his way and stuff.
Okay.
But then when he told me that phrase, I've never forgot that phrase. I told myself, I will not become a producer. I will become the best producer, at least from my point of view.
Yeah.
And I think I owe it to him, because when someone pushes you, and back then it wasn't the norm of having a female producer who can really juggle things around. She can become a successful mom. She can be a successful wife. It takes a lot. And I recall back then when I gave birth to Ziad and I finished the maternity and I was coming back, and I went to my doctor. She's a French doctor, and she was telling me, I told her, listen, I have no idea how can I stay good at what I do with a child and all these responsibilities. And she looked at me and in my eyes, and she told me, you would never know the amount of strength God can put in a mom's heart. And she was right. I used to take Ziad to the shoots. I used to breastfeed him all the time. I try to become the better version of myself, no matter what's the phase I'm experiencing at that point of time. And I think the strength comes from within.
It's not easy being a producer. It's not easy being a head of production. But you manage multiple agencies. But I think I would say the hardest thing is being a parent.
Of course.
So that's the thing. How do you balance the job, being a parent, a husband, having a husband?
I cook at night. My son keeps telling me, who cooks at 2 a.m.? I cook at 2 a.m. He's you're always on the call. So I try my best to juggle between this and that. Of course, at times I have to travel and stuff. But again, it comes back to how you raise your child.
Yeah.
It's how you raise him. And for me, Ziad finds my career is the weapon that protects his life, the weapon that makes me happy. And him seeing me happy makes him happy.
Okay.
So I think we're partners in what we do. And if he doesn't need to throw something on me, he will do it himself.
He's independent.
He hates chores at home. And I always have while you're passing, please turn on the light. I always have some chores, but I realize that it's part of him being responsible. So we're in this together. I think you need your support system. And my family helped me a lot as well. A lot of times I had shoot. A lot of times I was traveling. When I first decided to move to Dubai, I had no absolute idea. When first Bessel met me, and I was his kid for 10 years before, and I was like, you come to Dubai. I told him, no, I'm too old to come to Dubai. Ali, what old? I told him, no. Why do I leave my family? I leave my comfort zone. I leave everything. And what if you don't like me? I don't like you. Ali, no, you will. So I came and I told him, listen, Tab, I don't want to sign a contract. I want to come only for 3 months. Let's try. I was 30 back then.
3 months.
3 months.
No
and that was and I was doing it because I didn't want to feel sorry that I didn't try.
Okay.
But then 10 years later, I'm today here. I got really intrigued of challenging the status quo. When I first came, they thought that this Egyptian crazy woman, and why are you speaking up in meetings and out voicing your opinion? Yeah, because I'm hired to voice out what I think is best. And I think people told me, but we need to just listen to what the client says. No. because if you're gonna fire me anyways,
Yeah, because
whether I do bad work, you're gonna fire me. And if I speak and it turns out good, then maybe I have less chances to get fired.
Of course.
And I remember back then, after that incident, I went back home. It's been only 2 or 3 months here, and I realized, who do I want to become here? I'm a very strategic person. I would never push the client to do something. We have great relationships with client, and sometimes client calls me and tells me, why did you remove this part from the ad? Tell her, yeah, I felt it can fire back. It's quite sensitive culturally. Let's try it and see if it didn't fire back, we can update and stuff. This is how I was brought up, that you take care of your partners and your clients. It's not about a specific goal for a specific objective or an agenda. So I think it's when you put your heart in something and you become, I love this generally in life.
You seem to be well-rounded, well-traveled, and very happy, and I know you're very well accomplished in terms of awards and things like that. But what is your dream?
I don't want to be the richest person on earth. I don't want to own this and that. I don't want to. If I have 12 lions, I would like to make them 24, but I wouldn't live for that. I think my dreams is safety, amen. I love the word aman in Arabic because it's beyond security. It's a loving, secure environment. I love to be protected around the people that I love. I would love to do good. The more I try and do good, I feel good.
Okay.
I love to affect people's lives in a positive way. And if you have a young talent, I would love to coach him or her. I would love to see my own people and my own team growing and becoming better than me, opening production houses. The minute I go and step into a shoot that an ex-team member opened up a production house and producing, the amount of pride I have is insane. It's lovely.
It's funny you say that because a lot of people would not like that at all. They would say, if you're leaving me, they would literally just cut them off. But you're letting them flourish, and you're pushing, or not pushing, you're supporting them to leave and to grow.
I think today I
know 3 that just start
since I moved to Dubai, I have 18 direct producers who have worked with me. They are my closest people.
Oh, okay. I was going to say 3 people I know that you've supported 18. To open.
I can proudly say
That's amazing.
I have 18 producers who are all better than me. And I think when I say also better, because that's the strength, it's not necessary that we all do everything in the same manner and way. You also learn to adapt. When you're a producer, you take a job and you just work on it and stuff. But when you oversee everything and people with different ages, different mentalities, different school of producing. But I think I look at specifically with the practice we have at Publicis Groupe now. It's not about just producing the film or assigning a producer on a project. I think the practice serves all our clients and all the project in a certain way where if it's football, then I would say Omar or Ruby will do it better, because if they love football, then they will crack the brief in a certain way. If it's something that needs really post-production and stuff, I would go into a Marta, into a Glory, and I can name the whole team. Each one can do something better than all of us. So I think casting the right producer on the right job and is the best thing. And sometimes I would know that I'm not the cup of tea of that client, for instance, because that client wants someone to say yes, 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 and that's it. I wouldn't go and confront myself and put him in front of him and tell him no. Then you would need to be smart and put someone who can really deal with him, and I can orchestrate backstage. So I think the smartness of our job comes from how to deal with different people, different mentalities, and I think this is what I love about Dubai. I love working in Egypt, and when I shoot in Egypt with the crew, full crew is Egyptian and stuff, but I long for my diversity here. I love how we complete each other's, from Lebanese, Syrians, Egyptians, Indians, from Poland. I love that diversity, and I think this is humanity. I love these judging experiences and stuff. Every time I enter a room, I come out of this room and come back to Dubai a different person. I think this is what is really unique about what we do, humanity. People come together to evaluate work independent who have produced it, and you come together, you change people's minds, you try and affect it with a certain opinion, and then you change your mind because someone else have really influenced your opinion. I think this is what really matters, and that's the beauty of art. It's the universal language.
Very true. Very nice. Growing up, what was your biggest fear? And is it still a fear today?
I think I fear death a lot. Not that something bad would happen to me. I'm a person who woke up one day, my sister knocked the door, like, come, check out what happened to mom. And then you see her on the floor with my dad trying to figure out what's happening. And in a minute, she wasn't there. And I also had a very big incident where a very close best friend lost her young baby daughter in a terrific incident. And I think this is not fear more than it made me realize that I need to really, really, really be grateful for what I have today. That's why we call us the fluffy team, because we hug and kiss every morning and while we step out of the office every day, literally.
Okay.
Because it can be the very last time I see you. I always live that it might be the last time for us to work together, to meet. It's very difficult for me to lose the people that I love. And I always fear this. So that's why I don't look at that in a bad way. I try to look at it as use the time because you might not have time.
Very nice. Use the time because you might not have time. What were some of the most memorable experiences in your life and profession?
I have a long list of great talents that professionally I learned everything from them, from creative to communication to strategy to directors to crew. I'm really grateful for everyone I've met because I've learned from the good and bad, by the way, because sometimes when you see a bad example, I'm always aware that I don't want to become that person. I was fortunate, honestly, when I look our pictures back then at Leo Burnett and see the office picture, I say, oh my God, it's the field. It's everyone all over the agencies today. We were all at one time in one office. There's a lot of things and a lot of challenges and a lot of things that I think even my producers come to me and tell me, how will we shoot this? Are you really sure we should do this? The risks you take. Yeah. Sometimes you take the risk of let's shoot, client will be on board, or let's shoot anyways and let's present that edit. Or sometimes you get around with people who really try at many times to tell you مش حرزانة. You really don't need to push this. All these moments where you know that you took a right decision and it really converts into something great, whether to the client or to the people or to myself, I can't even list them down.
Okay.
And personally, I think as well it will go back to the amount. I fail miserably when I try to put down a guest list for a gathering at home or somewhere, or a wedding or an engagement or something, because I would want to invite 1,000 people, and these people are not people that you know, people that you love. So I think I'm really grateful for the amount of great souls around me and the people. We were talking about what you do. I think the one thing I put in front of my eyes personally and professionally is that saying from the Quran that says, except those who goes to God with a good heart. إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم.
That's beautiful.
If you put that phrase from the Quran in front of your eyes, you'll do everything it takes for the people you love or the people that you don't know, but you are owed to help them. And at work, if you put your heart and you do your best, even if you fail, we fail together. It doesn't matter.
We fail together.
Of course. This is a culture that you don't see it. The minute things go wrong, you'd find a lot of pointing fingers here and there. And for me, it doesn't matter what was the problem or who did the problem. Let's focus on how we solve it. And the minute you succeed and you go on stage, this is the minute when you find everyone, it was ours and let's push it, which is fine. And I'm more than open for people to share the success and to share the experience. But also I really appreciate people who
own
succeed together and fail together, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Because it was some I remember, I'm going to have I'll probably bastardize the saying, but it was like a bad idea has no fathers.
100%.
But a great idea has,
100%.
plenty of owners.
100%.
So I've heard a lot about you and a lot of things I didn't know and moved me quite a lot. Is there anything you want people to know about you or any life advice? I mean, if they listen to this, they're going to have loads of great words of wisdom from you, but anything you want to...
I don't have one advice. I think I just mentioned that phrase that I really put in front of my eyes. If you have a great idea and you believe in it, you'll be able to convince people. If you put your heart in something, you're going to do it. الإخلاص. I love that when you do something, do it right and try to do the best you can. And for me, I try to be the best version of myself. I admit when I go wrong. I admit when I feel that maybe I would have done it in that manner. I think you being true to yourself, and it's like someone who gains some weight and you look at the mirror and say, I didn't lose a lot of weight. I didn't gain a lot of weight. And I say, no, I gained a lot of weight and I need to lose weight. I think being true to yourself and who you are, you should be the toughest judge on yourself.
But it's very hard to be true to yourself in that sense.
I know, but you try.
It's easy to say, I'm great, I look great today, but to say that I don't look great today or I failed, that takes a lot of looking inwards. It
does. I think just be true in whatever you do. It's just really, if you're true in whatever you do, people, I had this very difficult meeting and I know that client and they told me take care and everyone was and then before and we're rehearsing before the rehearsal and we're doing this and that and before the meeting I said, know what, I'm just gonna be myself. I spoke the truth when things are not right. I told her, listen, you want me to be true to you and tell you the truth as it is, or do you want me to tell you something, we can do it and then we cannot do it? And everyone after the meeting, like, she loved you, she was praising you and stuff. Yeah, because I was just true, and I will not be someone who's not me. That's one. Two, I think the one thing that always burdens me or makes me feel down, that I'm quite a romantic character. I'm always accused of, you live in a la la land. You always put a soundtrack to your life. I always dramatize everything and stuff. But that's beautiful. I cannot live every day as if it is a boring day or I just need to do this or that. I think that's a good thing.
What is the soundtrack to your life?
I think life is boring. I love this studio and that set because I think it's one of the closest phases in our the production. I love sound. I just like in the car, I would turn on the music. If I'm going between point A and point B and I really feel sad, I will play a song that's very sad. I embrace whatever I'm living. If it's happy, I'm going to live that happy moment. If I'm sad, I'm going to embrace it as well. And I think this makes it a much happier and a more entertaining way to live. And in the middle of this, because we're not in heaven and because not all the people are good souls, and that's a fact of life, it saddens me a lot of times that maybe you do something for someone who doesn't deserve it, and maybe you face some kind of injustice or people fail you in a certain way, but then I wouldn't change myself to be able to cope with these matters, because when you do goodness, you do it to God, through God. And it doesn't necessarily, if I do good to Amin, that Amin will pay me back. I don't like give and take. I love to put it in that way. It's a give and give. When you give, someone else will give you. And it's not necessarily the same person who you gave some goodness to. So I think it's just living on that makes you a better and happier person, because you live to do good and you don't wait for the goodness. Goodness comes from...
Because you appreciate, you're doing it because you want to do good.
100%.
And you feel good about doing good.
100%. And I think because at times you think that even these are bad people, but they're winning. Even in a game, they really played dirty, but they won the match. End of the day, who says that goodness wins all the time? But no matter how long it takes for goodness to win, it will win.
100%.
A good heart is a good heart.
We like to play a game to wrap up the show. We call it the Wildcard game. You choose a can at random, and there is a question inside.
Okay.
Choose whichever can you like, and I will read out the question for you.
The blue one at your side.
Okay. The question is, do you have a party trick? And what is it? If you don't, what would you want it to be?
Party trick.
Yeah.
So whenever there's a party,
Yeah, like something that you can entertain, or like, I don't know, like sing or break dance or something like that. Or is there something that you'd want to be able to do?
No, I love singing. I have a horrible voice. I would have loved to have a beautiful voice, but this never stops me of singing.
Oh, it doesn't?
I always have a karaoke at home during the summertime, Sahel. I always sing very, very sad songs and very, very happy moments and stuff, and nothing stops me. And then I learned some stupid moves from my younger sister, Shadeen. She does this very stupid thing, so I like to do it. So it feels odd coming from me. I'm a very like proper person. I dance in a certain way and stuff. So from these things comes from me, they feel funny.
I love the way you owned it. Like, I love singing, but I can't sing.
No, I can't.
Wow. Okay. I think it's nice that we end on a laugh, you can sing if you want now.
No.
I've had people yodel on the show before.
I wish.
No.
I would have loved to be a great singer or a dancer, by the way.
Yeah.
I would have loved to be a belly dancer.
A belly dancer.
Yeah, but that's عيب.
I can't. Yeah, I'm not that much of a dancer, and singer. I used to be able to sing when I was a kid, before my voice broke. Shereen, thank you so much for being on the show and taking the time. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope to see you again soon.